Welcome back to tonight's broadcast, A Place for Stories. I'm Sergio Dominguez, and tonight we continue reading my original novel, What Would I Do Without You? We've reached chapter 16, and because this chapter is longer, I'll be dividing it into two parts. In our last chapter, junior year came to an end, and after everything Isaac and his friends had been through, summer finally brought with it a sense that life was beginning to move forward. Chris was healing, he had formed an unexpected friendship with James, and he had made the decision to return to school for senior year. But not everyone was ready to forget the past. Isaac may believe that Chris had changed, but Aaron remembered the person Chris used to be and the years of hurt that came with him. Sometimes giving someone a second chance is easy when you weren't the person they hurt. And sometimes wanting two people you care about to get along is much more complicated than simply asking them to forgive and forget. So, where does this leave Isaac, Aaron, and Chris as their story moves forward? Let's find out. This is What Would I Do Without You, Chapter 16, Part 1. Hey, are you sure this will be okay? Chris asked me. He was so nervous about hanging out at the lake with the group on our first lake day of the summer. Why wouldn't it be okay? You have been hanging out with James, right? And you two seem to have hit it off. The rest of the guys will be okay with it, and you will be fine, I told him. I don't feel nervous about James. It's the others I'm worried about. I have talked to the girls, but we haven't actually hung out. And then there's Aaron. I know he doesn't like this at all, Chris stated. Don't worry about him. I'll handle Aaron, I told him assuredly. I have hung out with James before, but this is different. It's all of them at once, Chris repeated as he raised his arms and then let them fall and hit the side of his legs. I could tell by the sound of his voice that he was freaking out. You make it sound like it's a massive amount of people. Look, all we are doing is having a swim and eating some food. It'll be fun, I promise. Now get yourself ready. We are meeting them at the lake in about an hour. Don't be late. I'll be waiting for you. I took a deep breath as we hung up. Soon after our conversation, Chris arrived at my house to pick me up. So we're going for Aaron, I stated as I got into Chris's car. What? Why? Chris asked with eyes wide open. I saw his face go pale as if the blood drained to his feet. Because I think it would give the two of you a chance to talk a little before we arrive at the lake. I already spoke to him and let him know that we were going to pick him up. I asked him to give himself the opportunity to get to know the real Chris. The Chris that I met years ago, I explained further. I couldn't help but laugh at him when I heard him say, "Oh God, please, let this go smoothly," followed by, "You know what? You're right. I have to do this. I did him wrong, and I have to make things right." He turned to me, and I gave him a reassuring nod. We finally arrived at Aaron's house, and I braced myself for what may happen once he got in the car. It was quiet and awkward when Aaron sat and adjusted himself in the car seat. I broke the ice. "Hey, you know Chris." "Hey," Chris said as he extended his hand to the back seat of the car where Aaron was sitting. "Hey," was all Aaron said as he turned his head to look out the window without shaking Chris's hand. It was terribly uncomfortable, and nothing like what I had convinced myself would happen. As Chris turned back to face the front, he said, "Okay, let me get this out of the way. I'm sorry, Aaron, for all the stupid shit I did and said to you those past years. I'm an idiot, and it was very mean and stupid of me, and I know it. You didn't deserve any of it. I don't deserve your kindness because I was a jerk, but Isaac thinks I should get a second chance. I hope that one day you can find it within yourself to forgive me and cut me a break. Let me show you who I really am," Chris told Aaron through the rearview mirror before he started the car. I didn't know how to react. What the fuck? When did Chris grow a new pair of balls? I marveled. I sat there looking forward and nervous as all hell, waiting for Aaron to say something. We were almost at the lake when he finally had mercy on me and responded. "Okay, I forgive you," Aaron answered in a flat, matter-of-fact tone. Before either Chris or I could say anything, he continued harshly. "But only because Isaac is asking me to give you a chance. I need you to understand that there is a lot of history between us, and it's all bad, and it's because of you. I am not the type of person who can flip a switch and forget all the harsh memories and feelings I have about you. So honestly, time will tell if you're cool or not." Aaron finished as Chris put the car in park and he grabbed the handle of the door to get out. But Chris quickly retorted, "Fair enough, and I know you don't believe me. but I am sorry, and I do wish I could go back in time to change it. So, thank you for giving me a second chance. Chris answered as he looked at Aaron in the rearview mirror. It was only after Chris's reply that Aaron exited the car. As he did, I looked over to Chris, who gave me a tight smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Looking back, it was a moment of growth for the three of us. Aaron reached the group first. As he mumbled his greetings to everyone, Melissa broke the ice with Chris. "That's a pretty big bag you brought, Chris. What's in it?" I wasn't sure what you guys like to do here at the lake, so I thought I would bring stuff to play games," Chris responded as he opened up the bag. He took out a volleyball, which was perfect because there was a net close by. He continued peering into the bag and laughed nervously. "And that's it, really. I realize now that nothing else will be useful. I have a baseball and a bat. I also have a football, but now I'm thinking football is a bit rough. So the volleyball is the only useful item in this bag. I'm so stupid." "Dude, calm down. We can find other things to do. We have the whole lake to swim in," Aaron replied. I was amazed that he would even say anything to make the situation okay. Wow, that was decent of him after what just happened in the car, I thought to myself. "Well, I for one am going to sunbathe," said Mary as she started walking towards the edge of the lake. "We will join you," said Sam as she and Melissa stood up and grabbed their towels. That left just the guys standing in a circle looking at each other. It got so awkward real fast. Thank God James said something. "Hey Chris, let's go for a jog. We can get some sun that way. You guys want to come?" James asked me and Aaron as both he and Chris looked at us, but we happily declined. By the time the girls were done sunbathing and James and Chris were done with their jog, Aaron and I had laid out the tablecloth and prepared the area to eat. Everyone was famished. "These sandwiches are so good," said Chris, as it only took him 4 or 5 bites to polish it off. "I know, my mom makes the best chicken salad sandwiches," said Mary. "Nice. Thank you, Mary's mom," Chris answered as he eyed his second sandwich. Just as he was about to take a bite, he realized that all eyes were on him. He must have really liked those sandwiches because he didn't care about the awkwardness that surrounded him as he dove in for the kill. We all began to giggle as he put his hands up to his mouth to cover his laugh. "What?" Chris said with a mouthful of chicken salad. "You really like them, don't you?" I asked. Wiping his mouth, he said, "Yeah, they are so good." That funny exchange kind of set the precedent between Chris and the gang, minus Aaron for the rest of the day, and it went fairly well. We swam a lot, played volleyball, and sat and talked. Chris opened up that day by answering all questions thrown at him. I figured that it was a good idea if he was going to join the circle. It gave the others a chance to get to know him better. He told them stories of when he and I met, along with stories about his mother and father. He even cried a little when he spoke about his mother and her funeral. The conversation went on for a while until Aaron broke it up by saying that he was going over to the big rocks by the shore to watch the sunset. Then the girls started talking about prom, which made me laugh a little. Prom is so long from now, I thought with a smile. James and I started our own conversation, and after a while, I noticed Chris get up and walk over to where Aaron was sitting. Both James and I exchanged surprised looks. "I guess that's a good sign," said James. "Yeah, it is," I agreed, trying to be positive, especially when I noticed Aaron didn't leave when Chris sat next to him. "He means a lot to you, doesn't he?" asked James. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of chapter 16. For Isaac, this day at the lake was supposed to be about giving Chris a chance to meet his friends, a chance to make things right with Aaron, and maybe a chance to finally leave some of the past behind. But as the sun begins to set, James asked Isaac one simple question. "He means a lot to you, doesn't he?" Isaac thinks he knows exactly what James means. But does he? We'll find out when we continue with chapter 16, part 2 of What Would I Do Without You? Thank you for listening to tonight's broadcast, A Place for Stories. I'm Sergio Dominguez. Until next time, good night.